Hello, I'm JW, and in this video more old fuse boxes, and a bit different this time. We've actually got some ones made of metal rather than those wooden ones which we looked at before. And I've actually got three to look at in this video, so let's get straight in and see what we've got. Now, first of all, we've got this cast iron fixture here, which is a Coolx splitter, 20 amps, 250 volts, made in England. And it's fairly heavy duty say cast iron construction, and the on off switch on the side here on the off position there, and then switches on in that place there. And notice it's got this overlap here, so when it's in the on position can't actually open the thing, so you have to of course switch off and then you can open it. On the side got four fuses. This is a double pole arrangement, so it's actually only two circuits. And you see there's remains of some of the old wiring at the top here. It's got the little bit of red there and a bit of black in there. And the switching mechanism is this bar at the bottom. This is an insulating material here with the contact attached. And of course when the switch operates, those simply fold in to the 2 points there and the 2 points there. Now these fuses are made of white ceramic. And these are both 15 amps. In fact, they're all 15 amps all the way across for both of the circuits. These are rather black and sooty, either because it's been in a fire or because they've been overloaded and broken several times, but I think this has actually been in a fire or something, because the inside of it's fairly blackened and charred as well. And you see they're incredibly basic. It's literally just the ceramic moulded part, two metal posts, and the wire just trails across the middle in a fairly random fashion. And just take all of the others out, and I can see the carnage on the others. This one appears to be rather well jammed. And as you can see here, there's a substantial amount of charring and blackening and molten copper residue and all kinds of other mess there. So it's pretty obvious that this one has been in a very poor situation, and the fuses have been blowing on a fairly regular basis. And your incoming circuits would have actually been here and here, and then when the bars move down on the switch, it would connect obviously the two sides, so you've got the power then connected to the bottom of those two fuses, and of course the same over there. And this has got a bit of red here, so this would be the line this side and the neutral over here. And again, the lid is designed in such a way that you can't actually turn it on when the lid's open, so you've got to actually close the lid and then you can move it to the on position. There's a bit of a closer look at the front there, and the name splitter is, these were commonly called splitters at the time, rather than sort of junction boxes or whatever, because of course that's actually what they're doing. They're just splitting the incoming supply into two separate circuits. Fuse holders themselves do say made in England on the middle there. It's got the part number at the top, and so these are in a right state. As you can see, there's charring and blackening all over the place. These pads here are probably asbestos or some similar material, so we're not going to be poking those and making a dust from them. The lid just secures with this little turn screw here. This wouldn't be allowed today either, because of course that can be undone without tools, so literally anybody just come along and loosen the top, and the lid will just fall wide open, exposing all those live parts. Now these were earthed, of course, because metal being fairly hazardous if it gets live, and here's the remains of the earth connection on the side. Simply the copper wires, which are tin copper in this case, just twisted around this stud and tightened down. Fairly plain on the back, and these would just been made out of, say, cast iron or some similar metal, threaded together with a few bits and pieces, and the ceramic parts fitted in afterwards. And note, despite the age of this, it does have a sprung mechanism, so that when the contacts pull in, it's actually spring assisted, so they will flick in there fairly quickly, and likewise when it comes out again, so you will minimise any arcing on those contacts. Now here's the second one, and this is a Major of the Mem brand, the Midland Electrical Manufacturing. That brand still exists, but it's now owned by Eaton, so it has no relevance to these at all. Similar sort of just thumb screw type arrangement to secure the top there. And again, anybody could just undo that any time with no tools, and then the lid just flaps open. And similar mechanism with the switch there, so it's on the spring, prevents the lid being opened, or at least fully opened when the switch is in the on position. And inside of this one we've just got two much larger fuses, again ceramic. These are 30 amps, and if we can pry these out of here, slightly better construction, and you've got the terminals here. There's an offset there, and then the fuse wire just loops over that large piece of ceramic and actually presses down there into the asbestos cloth in the base there. And the other side again exactly the same. And again we've got plenty of copper residue and damage there from when it's obviously blown it sometimes in the past. Again you've got the double pole here, so we've got the red and black, or the line and neutral there. And similar arrangement here where the power would come in at the bottom, and it's these two sort of knife type arrangements which would spring in here and here. That's to join the incoming wires to the bottom terminals of the fuses. And again spring assisted over this side. You see some random screw hanging in there from when it was fixed on the wall. And these are all complete, and this is actually the Cantark range, as it said on the front of the ceramic here. And that particular range is made in a whole load of different sizes and styles. This being, of course, the smallest, as it contains just one circuit of 30 amps. Lid is quite nice. Well, we've got two actual cast posts there, which have rubber stoppers just placed over them. And when those close, they will actually press onto the centre of the fuses there, so that if the fuse isn't fully inserted, you can't actually close the lid properly. So again, another sort of safety feature there. So to see if the fuse isn't in, the lid won't actually close down. Still got the remains of the wiring there. Again, it's the old rubber with cotton covering. This was obviously just chopped off when it was removed from the installation. And again, it's all cast iron, made in England, and these are quite weighty, and this is a sort of 2 or 3 kilograms in weight, so fairly substantial and well-made item. Now, the third and final item is this one, and this is a GEC item, or General Electric Company. That's the English one, not the American one. And again, it's similar to that major one where we've got just the 2 fuses inside, again for the line and neutral. Slightly thinner material case, and the lid actually has a sort of rope gasket type of thing in it, so provide a bit of sealing on that one. Fuses again ceramic, branded GEC on the front. We can pry these out of here. In this case we've got the ceramic base there and the contacts, and then the asbestos cloth is actually on the fuse holder itself, and again the fuse wire just pulled across the top between the 2 terminals. Very similar arrangement with the knife type contacts there, and again the spring loaded thing, so it will snap in and out with a reasonable amount of force. Now this has some rather odd wiring attached to it, blue and white at the top here, and then we've got 2 reds at the bottom, so obviously this has been repurposed from being originally a double pole arrangement to a single pole supplying 2 circuits, fusing in the line only. Hinge lid again there, and you've got the GEC logo in the centre. This is an X4720, and rating there 15 amps, 500 volts, and of course made in England as with the others. And again a very similar style of switch there, again with the spring, so it's on in the up position and off in the down position, and it does have that interlock, so you can't open the lid when it's turned on. This one is somewhat rusty and corroded, and there's the remains of some sort of earthing wire flapping on the side here. It's got a brass fixture there in the bottom, and a bit of old conduit on the top here, and the back box from what was actually a 13 amp socket. That's an MK branded item there, just threaded on and screwed onto that conduit. Now it's doubtful that this would have been blue originally, because notice the conduit is also the same blue, so fairly obviously someone's had at this with a can of paint at some point in its life. And again the lid just screws there with those 2 wing nut type arrangements, so again could be just opened at any time, literally by anyone with no tools required. So look there at some old metal fuse boxes, all from the 1940s and probably earlier. And you might be thinking that such items can only now be found in skips and various museums and in rubbish piles, but this particular one was actually powered up and connected to the mains as recently as just a few months ago in 2014. It was actually somebody's garage and was actually still in service, connected to a socket which was fitted on the top here. So these things are still out there and still being used, even of course though they should have been replaced many decades ago. Until next time, thanks for watching.